So there you go. Okay, right, sorry. So you've got this tempting button called Try New Layout. Okay. And then the layout appears. Bear in mind, obviously, if you do this, all the users will see this and all users' screens will change, okay? I'm going to do some of the pre-stuff as you haven't been able to hear me, but let me just cover that. So obviously, as soon as you turn that on, everybody's going to be changed. So the best thing to do is change it when nobody's working on the system, I'm afraid. Work out what you want people to see, which we're going to cover during this session, and then basically return to the old layout here. Okay, all right. Just to be aware, this broadcast is being recorded and will be available on the webCRM video recording channel. Okay, and if you've got any questions, please put a question in, and I'll look every few minutes and find out that I wasn't my speaker wasn't turned on. So there you go. All right. So now I'm looking at the dashboard. Few high-level things to cover here is one. This is the default dashboard. The default dashboard will appear with just general stuff in, and I'll show you how to configure that in a minute. But the principle of the system is you can have multiple dashboards, and you can have dashboards with different components in them depending on the audience and what you want to see, or just a view on different aspects of the system. All right. The high-level thing is if I just go run through that again. So second take on that one. So if I go to configurations, okay. If I look down at drop-down list and I go to dashboard, okay, you can create your own categories of dashboard. This is only a high-level flagging type category. It doesn't actually make, for example, if you put a sales one, it doesn't automatically put any sales in. It's just how you want to categorize it, because you may have a number of different dashboards and it's just allowing to categorize it. If I just go back to the main settings again, and again, you've seen this once, but you didn't have my wonderful commentary on it. So if I now go to access levels, this means we can actually decide who can see what and do what with a dashboard, okay? So if I go into my access levels, you'll see within the access level, there's 2 new fields appeared. And basically, you can decide that access level, what can they do with a dashboard? Can they view, or can they do everything with a dashboard? Okay, right. With KPIs, when you're actually managing, and we'll talk about KPIs in a few minutes, are they going to be the ones they're responsible for, or all of them? Okay, and you'll see what that means in a minute. Okay, right. But those are the only 3 settings configurations you need to worry about. Okay, okay. So back to the dashboard. Okay. You'll see from the top here that if I've got access to create a new dashboard, I can create a new dashboard here, or I can configure the dashboard by clicking settings. So whichever dashboard you're on, if you click settings there, it'll go you to configure it, and I'll show you that in a minute. Or I can edit settings for all users' dashboards. So we won't worry about that one for a minute, but we'll come back to it hopefully. Okay. What you'll also see is external view. What external view? It will open up another tab against this particular dashboard, which then you can show on a big screen or whatever you want to do. And you can have multiple external views, as I understand it. I've not tried it yet myself, but apparently you can do that. Okay. All right. So let's talk about, I call these panels, and they call them panels as well. So basically, there's 4 different types of panels. Okay, there's a KPI panel. Okay, there's a list panel, which is what you'd be familiar with on the old screen, where I've got a list of my activities or my outstanding opportunities, and we'll play with that in a minute. Yeah. You've also got what I call a report panel here, and these panels are based on reports. Okay, and you've also got a performance panel. So there's 4 different types of panel. On the panels, other than performance, you can only have 1 performance panel per dashboard, but what you can do is have multiple items in the performance dashboard. We'll talk about that in more detail in a moment. Okay, so I, for example, have got a KPI revenue target this month, okay, how many new customers and updated activities. I have a list of my activities, and I've got calls made month to date, blah, blah, blah. Okay, right. We'll just go behind this now and just go over a little bit of how do you configure these things. One, it's quite intuitive once you get used to it, but also there's a little bit of fiddling to get it exactly how you want. So if I now go into the settings of a dashboard, okay, right. So now you'll see, like if you remember, if you attended the activities one, you've now got this ability to now put panels and drag panels around and add new things in. Okay, all right. And then for each of the panels, you can then configure them. Okay, so let's just talk about configuration of what's there at the minute. And then what we'll do, we'll just add a new simple one on here. And then I'm going to add another one from scratch on the sales dashboard as well, to give you an idea. Okay, so if I go to a KPI panel and I just click on configure there, you'll see in the right hand side, as I clicked on the edit button there, this appears. So you can create multiple KPI panels, and you can then decide one, who is seeing that. So this will be a list of all the users. You may decide that you only want certain users to see that particular KPI panel. Yeah, there's the label. What did I call it? Okay, and what am I monitoring? Yeah, and what currency it's in, and what's my target value? Okay, all right. So it's going to now look at all orders for this month and then compare it to that particular target. It's not particularly complicated, and you can obviously it's configured so you can do it from a revenue or a gross margin point of view, or indeed just the numbers that have been created. Okay, relatively straightforward. Okay, so there you go. One really important point, and you'll forget to do it even though I've told you, but you'll learn quickly, is when you make any changes, make sure you hit the save, because whilst it might be showing on the screen, like the activities one, unless you save it, it's not actually going to save your changes. Okay, all right. Okay, so that's a KPI, and as you'll see, I've got three KPIs. Oh, sorry, yeah, three KPIs, I think. So yeah, three KPIs on this one. So example, I've added just another one. New customers this month. I'm using the entity type company. What's the type? It has to equal customer, and I want 10 new customers. Yeah, that's it, and that's what it's showing. All right. Okay. Just showing any answer for our 40 times users. Sorry, let me just have a look at what that question is. Yeah. Sorry, can you configure the dashboard without change default view? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Let me just answer that one. It's a good question from Paul. So yeah, if you create a default dashboard, yeah, and then just put all users responsible that can see it, that's it. That's what they'll see. Okay. Yeah, basically. So yeah, they will all see the default panel, and then you can create different dashboards and then configure who can see those dashboards and who can't. Okay. Hopefully I've answered that adequately, Paul. Okay. Right. Okay. So that's a KPI. Okay. Brilliant. Let me just add that in. Just can I go back to the thing? What you'll also see now is that I've got a list. So like on the old view, you could have a list of your own activities. If I just click activities there and edit it, I'm basically saying I want to see all planned and ongoing, or I can see all. Yeah, and I only want to see my own, or I want to see all. Okay, so again, if somebody's logging as a different user, that is now configured so they'll only see their planned and ongoing ones, and they'll only see their own. Okay. What you can also do, if you like, is you can then add a field that can be seen on it. So let me just go back to the view here so you can see. Let's just check back onto the actual dashboard itself. Okay. So as you can see from the KPIs, it's saying up 90% of my target. Yeah. Have I understood correctly that when an as an MO changed the view? Yes, you have, Cecilia. That's correct. So you need to be careful that no admin users turn this on unless you've got that rightly configured. Okay, you can turn it back, but obviously, yes, that's right. When you turn it on, the new layout, all users will see this. So a little planning required. Okay, and some communication. So we can see the KPIs that I'm doing, and then I can see activities. So there you go, and I can see my own activities in here in the system. Okay. If I now go back to settings again, I can do a number of things here. So what I can do now is, if I edit the activity, I can add fields in. So for example, I may want to decide that I want to see the, I don't know, I'm trying to see what else, area. There you go. All right. And there you go. And I can add multiple fields in. If I just add in, that will actually show in the view, which I'll show in a minute. But what I can also do is I can, if I drop down here, the first thing, these insert items, this column here is number one, this is a list of your overviews or your reports, as some people know them, okay, which you can then transfer into the dashboard if you wish, okay, or a dashboards if you wish, okay. What you've also got is you can then also put entity panels in here, which is the same as the old view, where you can have a list of companies you've recently seen or what have you, okay? And what I can do is just simply, if I drag opportunities in there you go, and then I want to be able to just see ongoing ones, I'd order in terms of anything that's overdue, for example, and then also I only want to see my own. There you go, and then I can also add a field in here, and I may decide that I want to see the gross margin on it. There you go, add, okay, and remember, save. That's important. If you don't save it, it won't do it. So if I now go back to the actual dashboard, just go back to home here. Yes, so Cecilia, if they've got admin access, which is, I think it's 99, if they see the view new dashboard, it will change it to everybody. Okay. So yeah, I think a bit of communication required as well. Okay. Okay. So, and actually what you can see now on activities, if I drop that, I can now see what the area is. Yeah. Well, there you go. There's no areas in there, but if there were, you'll be able to see them. Okay. And on opportunities, I added in what the gross margin in, and that's right. And the way they've done it this way is so that if you've got lots of fields in there, it doesn't mean you have to scroll down forever. You can just look at the one you want to see and see what information is there. Okay. All right. Okay. Right. Okay. So that's just the listing view. All right. Okay. So I'm now going back to settings again. Okay. All right. We now have. We'll go to the performance ones next, I think, because I want to finish on the report panels. So if I look at performance, now you can only have one performance one, but you can have multiple targets within there. So I clicked edit, and on the side panel here, you can see that I've got number one, I've got activity, follow-up activities this week, how many, basically what's been updated, and my target is 7, or I can make it 10 if I like as well. And I want to do it for a week. Okay, all right, there you go. I'm going to go back to show the previous period in a moment. Okay, I've also got another performance indicator, which is now for opportunities. Yeah, I've labeled it as what's our revenue goal. Obviously, I'm managing it on revenue, and I'm doing it in pounds or euros, depends. Okay, and I've also set my target value. But on this case, I've set it for month. Could set it for week, and also I want to be able to show the previous period. Okay, great. I've also added another one, and you can add up, I think, up to number 10, but obviously you've got a certain amount of space on the actual panel itself. But obviously you can have different panels, I think, for each dashboard. So it's about just being sensible what you want to put on here. Okay, meeting created, value 10 for the week, but I want to show the previous period as well, which is the previous week. Okay, and I can add a new target in here, and so on and so forth. Okay, I'm not going to do that now, but you get the idea. So if I then go back to the actual dashboard again, it's now alive updating. So what you can actually see is I've now got my performance, and you'll notice that the circle is, there's two circles there, one for the current period and one for the previous periods. I didn't turn it on for that one just deliberately to show you, but I have for the previous periods. So I'm 40%, 42% of my own personal target for doing follow-ups. I'm 345% of my revenue so far. So I think I need a trip to Mauritius to reward me for my great work. I actually suspect that's not right, so I'm going to check that out afterwards. And the meeting's created. Last month I did 220% of my target. So far, or this week, sorry, I've done 90%. It's not particularly rocket science, but you get the idea. And the KPIs are just looking at the raw data and just pulling out what's been updated, created, etc. within those sort of time periods, which obviously performances are based on. Okay, all right. I'm just checking the questions again. Just check them all right on questions. Yeah, we're all right on questions. No more questions. Okay, so right. So the final panel type to look at is the report panel. Okay. Ah, right. We are a multinational company dealing in multiple currencies. Oh, does the financial data convert into base currency? Yeah, that's it. So when you're looking at, we'll look at this in the report panel. In terms of the performance one, I'm not sure. Let's just have a little look. Good question. Let me have a look. I know it does it for the report panel. Yeah. So basically, on the entity, it says currency. So basically, you put euros in there, and it will do a conversion for you into euros, Paul. Okay. Hopefully, that's answered your question. All right. So yeah, that will convert. If you've got them in euros or pounds or whatever, it will convert it into that currency which you denominate here on the performance panel. So whatever your standard currency is for your company, whether that be euros or pounds. Okay. All right. Okay. No, we're okay with that, Paul. I think we've answered that one. Okay, so let's do report panels. Just to check, are KPIs and performance panels used specific whole company? Okay, thanks, David. So in the configuration, if you remember KPIs, you can set it to their own responsibility or all. So basically, depending on the user setup in the access levels, that will be looking at their own only or everybody's, depending on what access levels they've got. Okay, hopefully that answers your question. Right, so we're now into the report panel. So I've got one here, calls made. That should be calls made month to date, but there you go. And a nice little graph. Let's see how that's made up. Again, if I click on settings. Okay, so what I've got here is calls made year to date. So if I just let that higher. So the other thing is obviously it's obvious stuff intuitively. You can delete them and move them around and whatever you want to do, and drag them and make them bigger if you want to, but on some of them you can at least. Okay. So if I now edit calls made year to date, this is based on a report. So what I'm going to do next is, well, two things I'm going to do next. I'm going to add a new one in here that's already made, and then I'm going to create a new report and add one in of those as well, just to give you an idea how it works. So a panel that's based on a report, which this is, okay. First property is what's the display type. So you can have an analytics, which is a bar chart effectively, a line, a filtered list. Trying to remember what this one is. Combination chart. Yeah, I forgot. I'm going to do that one as well. Or a pie chart. Okay. So you can basically, what's the visual property of that particular panel? What I want to split it by, who's responsible for it, and I want to surmise by a particular thing, which in this case is, so I can maximize, which is obviously count, add up, or count. Okay, all right. So on this one, let's just have a look. What am I doing? Activity responsible. This one actually wants to be a count, and there you go. All right. So I'm going to just do a count on that one, and let's just. I'll add that in. I tend to hit that. You don't have to add it in. It's only when you're doing add as a new one and save. That is now saved. Okay. So if we go back, I know I'm just covering old ground again, but that's the nature of it. Yeah. Okay. So if we go back to the dashboard, there you go. It's always a little bit slow on go to meeting. I'm sorry about that. And there you go. And that's saying that James has got this many. Oh, I've got 2 lots, but never mind. It's only test data. And there you go. All right. Okay. So what we're now going to do is we're going to add an existing report in here, and then we're going to do a new one. So again, go back into settings. All right. Just checking we've got no more questions. We'll do that. Yeah. Okay. Right. So I've got a list of all the reports that I've got accessed here. Okay. So when you create a new report, it will automatically appear here. So all I'm going to do is I want to see open support cases, for example, and I'm just going to drag it down here. There you go. All right. I want to see it as a bar chart. Again, I like bar charts, or I could do it as a donut, I suppose. Yeah. And I want to see my open cases because I know this report is an open, how many cases are open. Yeah. And I want to look at it by the case responsible, and I just want to count how many they've got in. All right. So I'm going to add that in, and I'm going to save, remember. Okay. And if I go back to the beginning, it will appear. Cases opened by user. There you go. Brilliant. Okay. All right. That's super. Right. If I click on here, if there's only one dashboard, you'll only get one. It won't allow the drop down. But if I've got 2 and I've already configured one, I'm putting all sales in here. I'm going to go to my all sales dashboard, so I can now look at this set of data. Okay. All right. Let's just open that up. Let it open up. There's something wonderful happening there. I don't know what's happening here. You can see the layout's different. I've just put different ones on it. Okay. Right. I'm not sure. We'll go to settings and sort what's going on with that one there. Oh, I meant to have got rid of that. Sorry about that. Okay. Right. So I'm now configuring the all sales one. So it looks different. Okay. By clicking the edit button here, I can see who can actually see that one as well. Okay. All right. So I can change that if I want to. Okay. So we'll leave that there. I'm now going to add a new report in. So I won't leave this screen now because what we can do is it does it on pre-configured reports. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to see all overviews, and I'm going to create a new report just to show you the process on this one. So new report. I want to make it ops due this month. Yeah. So it will be opportunities. I'll create a new report. So I basically, in terms of date, I want to see the date that anything that is less than the first. Oh, sorry, 31st in actual fact. 30. Sorry, my bad. There you go. Right. And I want to see anything with a pipeline level that is less than 1. There you go. All right. There you go. Save. So if I just now check that report, okay, let's go back to the report because I need to just change that one. Sorry, my bad. lots and lots, too many stuff in there. Okay. So sorry, anything that's greater than, let's do it first of the month. Obviously, you can change the automatic filters on this. And also is the date is, opportunity date is less than, and I'll just put the end of the month. Obviously, I can put the automatic filters in there. We go. So sorry about that. I just want to limit the amount of data that's there. And there you go. So there, look, that's there. Fine. There you go. I've got 3. That's what I wanted to see. So if I did it from scratch deliberately. So it's gone back to my default. So if I now go and go into my all sales, okay, all right, and I'll just go to settings here. I want to delete that because it's out. Okay, save that there. Right. So there you go. You'll see at the top of the list, opportunity due this month. That's the one I've just created. You can do it the other way around, but I personally think you should do it the report and then decide to make it a panel. So if I now drag the panel down here, okay, then I can decide what I want it to be. In this case, I'm going to be brave. I'm going to make a combination chart. Okay. What do I want to split it by? What I want to split it by whoever's responsible for the sales, and I want to summarize it by revenue. Okay. And I also want to summarize it by gross margin. Okay. And I want to display it in that particular currency. So if I add that in now, there you go, and I save that. Okay. So if I now go to, hopefully this will work. And I go to well, so you can default which one you go to, by the way, which again I may have pointed out, but I'll repoint. Not a very good one, but I can actually see, here we go, and there we go. We can see James has got that, Dickie Bird's got that. It's 200k, but his margin's rubbish. Rubbish turnover, margin ain't too bad given the revenue and so on and so forth. And again, I can create my performance indicators in here as well. Okay. Okay. So if I just edit settings from there you go. You've also, what we can do is you can create new dashboards. These are now how they are categorized. Okay. If I just go back in here to the main screen, if I create a new dashboard here, I'm not going to put anything in it. I think you get the idea. I can decide what I wanted to default it on, and that's my template now. And you can also save them as templates. It's just on the drop down, and I can put support in here. Okay. Just doesn't matter what you put in here, to be honest with you. Sorry, it went a bit wrong then. Support. So this is just a new dashboard, and it's in support. I mean, again, all this is a flag. Who can see this? So, for example, we can put in that only Lucy and James can see those. Create it. I now have a new dashboard, which is obviously based on the default, and then I can change it around and take off things that I don't want. That gets the idea. Okay. You'll also see at the top here, when I'm in settings mode, I can then decide which is my default dashboard when I log in and when I'm going back to things. Okay. All right. Okay. Gosh. I think I've covered that. Are there any more questions? Again, I do apologize for not having the sound going back onto mute for some reason in the beginning, but I haven't missed anything out. This is being recorded and will be on our channel hopefully today or tomorrow. If you've got any questions on it, you know the support emails for your various countries where to send support. and any issues, send them support as well. But hopefully you think this is a good additional change to the system. But obviously it does need a little bit of planning and communication internally to get these configured as you want and done at the right time, so nobody's in shock when they open up webCRM in the morning. Okay, how can we? So there's a couple of questions come in. Paul, would it change all if the regular users would be a new dashboard? No, it depends what. I'm trying to. I don't know. I've got that one. Can we create search fields on the old version? On the old, I can use that. Says company, person, or phone number on the dashboard. No, I think the searching's now being moved into that one. Whether it comes with the phone number or on that, I'm not sure actually. I don't know if it's searching on phone number. It might well be. Perhaps need to check that out, and if not, just go to support channel and check it. I don't know the answer to that one off the top of my head. What I do know is that the searching is very much more powerful here at the top than it was in the old one. So I very much suggest it is. Okay, all right. I mean, obviously you can search for a company because you can search in here, test. All right. Okay. Oh, Steve's left anyway. He asked the question, but there you go. Right. Any more questions? How can we test this? Can we go to cover webCRM data? We can get you a clone system by arrangement. Just again, go back to the support channel, send an email support channel, and they can, with webCRM in Denmark, they will create a clone system for you to have a test if you want to. All right. Okay. Okay. We also have another question. Can you add connecting charts already set up? No, this is completely separate. Okay. I think within your charts. Interesting question, actually. I'm not quite sure on that one. If I go to utilities, Paul. Good questions, Paul. Okay. Yeah, charts are still there, Paul. Just to answer your question. But obviously, you know in reports, you can put a chart. And sorry, that's a point I've missed. When you create a report panel, you can also include, if you create a chart, that will also be in there as well, just to let you know. So you can have a list of things, but also a list of items, also a chart in there as well. Okay. Or test. Yeah. So I've answered that, Paul, in terms of get a clone if you want to. The webinar, this will go on to the different channels in the next day or so, Britta. Okay. So yeah, you do need to play with it. Actually, once you play with it for a little bit, it's actually quite intuitive, just getting your head around what the different options are. All right. Okay. All right. But any more, Paul? Okay. Did I answer your question correctly? Or did I give you enough information there, Paul? Yeah. Any more questions? Yeah. Have a play with it. Have a play with it. It's not actually that difficult, but obviously if you've got quite a few users, you need to plan it. I've said that 3 or 4 times, but it's a fact. All right. Okay. Well, if there's no more questions, I will now finish up, and hopefully that's been helpful for you. Thank you very much.